Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Create the Ripple podcast. I'm your host, Candice Smiley. Here we trust the niggle and we tell the truth. This is a podcast. We are looking to have conversations that matter, conversations that take courage to engage in, where we cut through the noise that exists online to bring you incredible content, amazing speakers, and stories to inspire you to live your best, listen to yourself, and tell the truth of who you are and who you just might become. Hey, welcome back. It is season 3 of the Create the Ripple podcast. I'm your host, Candice Smiley. Here we talk about trusting the niggle and telling the truth. And gosh, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you are here. I'm grateful that in a very crowded podcast space, you take some time to listen in to myself and to my guests. It means the world to me. Thank you. All right. So I've taken the summer off and I've reset, recommunicated with myself. And we have an incredible year for you planned. Oh my gosh, I've got goosebumps as I'm sharing this with you. Goosebumps because I got ridiculously focused this summer on the intention of the podcast. Now, you all know if you've been listening along for a while, and if you're new, welcome. I'm so glad that you found us and you're here to listen in. Here we typically interview amazing guests, and this year we're absolutely going to, except we've gotten ridiculously clear on our essential intent. Now, if you have been following along for a little bit, you know that I'm an essentialist. And that is because I read the beautiful book by Greg Kino, I think how you say his last name. Forgive me, Greg, if I'm pronouncing that wrong. We will have a link to that book in the show notes, of course. And it's called Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. I think I'm on my 5th or 6th listen to this on Audibles. It has been a life-changing book for me. So the disciplined pursuit of less is less or different rather than minimalism, I think, at least for me. Essentialism is asking yourself always, what's important now? And it really becomes about what do I want? What's important to me? I think it leads really well into the setting boundaries and stuff that's been really a pivot point of the Create the Ripple podcast. So I've defined things like our core value words: freedom, courage, and self-expression. Those come from my 10 core values. And of course, they're whittled down to the core that are me. And of course, Create the Ripple podcast is, well, it's my baby. It's my brainchild. It is supported by an amazing team. We are adding a marketing team this year. We're adding another VA. And of course, the beautiful and talented and amazing Angel continues to support us. So that's my team. Kudos. Thank you so much, team. I could not do this without you. But freedom means the power to act, to speak, or to think as one wants to without hindrance or restraint. Courage is the ability to do something that frightens one in the strength of pain or grief. Self-expression is the expression of one's own feelings, thoughts, and ideas, especially in writing, art, music, dance, or a podcast. I share that with you because I really do believe that we create our world with our word. And I think oftentimes we're not nearly as careful. Our words are born within our mindsets. They're born within our subconscious. And so if we're not managing that and watching that and really being careful, we can intentionally create a world that we don't love. And so if you've been listening for a while, you know that I'm passionate about words, and not just words as they are today, but the etymology. Because I think where we come from matters. And I think it has an impact on who we are and who we become. I don't think words are any different. So I've been really diving into essentialism this year, and you're going to hear a lot of that this year. If you're watching on the video, this is my tiny house. You're seeing one little section of 324 square feet that myself, my love, and our 2 children, 2 dogs, and 1 cat call home. We're loving it. We are loving living small to be able to embrace a really big life. And you're going to be hearing bits and pieces of that over the podcast this season. Of course, if you're interested in tiny house, follow along on social media, because I'm sure we're going to be talking about how I fit all 4 of us, plus the pets, into here and still like each other. So what is trust the niggle and tell the truth? we've defined 3 particular things. And I'm sharing all this with you because I want to see if you align. And if you align, I'm really inviting you to stick around for the rest of the season because it's going to be amazing. We're here to discern our boundaries and then communicate, maintain, and reinforce those boundaries without guilt. So if you've ever been somebody who doesn't know how to set great boundaries or maybe has struggled with that in the past, maybe you're a recovering people pleaser, just like me, this is going to be a season for you because we're going to be diving deep into boundaries, discerning them, communicating, maintaining, and reinforcing them without guilt or shame. Then we're going to be embracing the courage to have conversations that matter with ourselves and with others. Now, this means we'll probably be tackling some key issues that we see in the world right now, not with the intention to leave you with an impression of what our opinions are on them, but rather to leave you the impression that you'll be thinking about it. What do you want? What do you want to believe? I think too oftentimes we live in the unconscious. We just live there. We've incorporated beliefs into our world that are somebody else's belief. They're not actually our own. And lately, I've been very discerning about the beliefs, even core beliefs that I've been holding for years that maybe I've outgrown and that are no longer serving me. I invite you to join us this season and do the same. So we trust the niggle and we tell the truth to feel the freedom that comes from living every day and making every decision from a place of true integrity. I really believe that integrity is an inner game. It's hard to have integrity, to live in that beautiful place where your word is your word, your yes is your yes, and your no is your no, if you've not taken the time to have integrity with yourself. That means if you said, hey, I'm getting up this morning at 7 a.m., you don't hit the alarm because you've already broken your word to yourself. It means that if you've said, hey, I'm committed to finishing this project by this date, that you make sure that you are disciplined enough to maintain your time to do so. That's what we're after here. And so I really think that personal integrity starts by listening to yourself, learning how to hear, sense, feel, know your own inner knowing. Because when you deeply know who you are, what you believe, where you're going, what your purpose is, your passion, it's so easy to communicate that with other people. Even when your voice shakes, it's much easier to tell the truth. So that's the intention of the season this year. That's some of the things we're going to be diving into. I'm stoked to share it with you. Absolutely cannot wait. We know that a lot of times my listeners are in motion. You're busy doing the dishes, you're busy on the treadmill, you're busy running around doing stuff. And so we intend to add value to you being in motion. We intend to leave you with nuggets, actionable tips. We want you to be able, we want to be aligned, I guess would be more appropriate. We want to be aligned with you in motion with our content. We want you to be stop and think, not physically, but stop, think, consider, discern. It's time to wake up our own deep inner knowing, that niggle, trust what we know, and live that out fully. We really believe that if it's not important to say, then we're not going to say it. So that includes the questions, which means for my guests and for you listeners, we're really going to be focusing on questions that we really feel like maximize the knowledge, the grounding, the depth of the guests that we're going to have on the show this year. And so it is. We will be adding a couple more episodes. So we will be dropping more than one episode this year. We've got some amazing co-hosts that we are lining up. Some people that you've heard before, some people that you've never heard before, including some people that have had a big impact. Do you remember in 2020, which was the impetus for me to start this podcast, how there was a great grief in my life? We're going to be talking more about that and the people that impacted that and the people that were part of that and the people that helped me heal post that. We're going to be hosting some amazing guests focusing in health and wellness, focusing in biohacking. We've got some really unique connections, collaborations this year that we're really excited to share. So I won't always be coming to you from the tiny house. We've got some unique on locations that we're going to be sharing with you. Anyway, all that to say, I have been profoundly impacted by 3 books this summer, and I want to leave them with you so that you can pick them up on Audible, find them, encourage them, follow along. And even if this is the end of your journey with the Create the Ripple podcast, that I can leave you with something of value today. So the first and foremost is that Essentialism book, which I mentioned earlier. Check it out. Essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less. The second book is one I've talked about many times, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph M. Murphy. Murphy. Joseph M. Murphy. Incredible human being. This book has been a game changer in my life. And so I would highly encourage you to find it, to read it, and to really embrace it. And then finally, the book is called Nonviolent Communication. I've heard about this book on a few other podcasts and in other people's books, and I finally picked it up. I'm on my third or fourth listen, and it's the kind of book where I'm reading it and I have to pause and stop because I'm like, wow, that is so mind-blowing. I'm clearly creating new neural pathways. I'm inviting you to find it and read it. I think if you could embrace these 3 books, you would go on a wonderful personal journey to simplify your life, become clearer, kinder in your communication without moving your boundaries, and more abundant and more on plan and on purpose. And I really do think that that is what the world needs right now. We need people who are deeply grounded in who they are and what they know. And I think the more grounded we are with clear, intentional, compassionate ways to communicate, especially when we disagree, and a mindset that allows us to, in spite of all the circumstances around us, hold the vision of who we are and what we want to see in the world. Right? Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. I was asked the other day if I could take somebody for dinner, who that would be. And I have to say, it would be Maya Angelou. And I'm saying this because she had so much wisdom. And she took a lot of time to work with words. And so her legacy lives on. And how powerful is that? So, all that to say, I am inviting you to join us on a very exciting season 3. We cannot wait to see you on social media. You'll find us on YouTube or TikTok. Embrace the essentialist lifestyle. Get tuned into the power of your subconscious. And let's learn to communicate together this year, non-violently, powerfully, beautifully, compassionately. And let's go trust the niggle and tell the truth. Thanks so much for joining me today. We'll see you on the show.